The music news for the streets, the music news for your beats, the news for the music stuff that you gonna need. We gon' talk about plugins, we gon' talk about gear. If it's news on this music, we gon' talk about it here. Let's go.
What up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your guy, Something. Hit the keys. As many of you guys know, I've been going hard recently on Spotify and about how they are changing the monetization rules. I've also been going hard about fake streams in the industries and telling you guys about how these record labels have been buying albums for decades and decades and decades and putting them in warehouses and all that stuff in order to make their artists look a little bit better. Well, recently Russ was on the Flagrant 2 podcast and he kind of talked about this. So what we're gonna do in today's video is we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna react to the video, you know what I'm saying, and give our opinions. Let me know below in the comments what you guys think about this as well. This is all information that we all need to be sharing because we can't get this situation fixed if people don't know about it. All right, so here's the clip right here in question. It says right here, Russ exposes how the music industry fakes streams. I watched this yesterday and I definitely wanted to react to it. So I'm just gonna push play and we're gonna go.
How these labels fucking artists with the streams.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're doing it, but it feels like they're doing it.
Yeah.
And how are they tricking us? Because I see these people that go crazy, album goes #1, but then they can't fill up a show.
Right.
So the math is not mathing.
Right. Right. Yeah, I mean, that's what it is.
But explain it. Where
I mean, so it's one of those things that like everyone in the industry knows is going on.
Which is?
Faking the streams.
And so you see right there, like he says, everybody in the industry knows that faking streams is going on, but it's just something that they're not going to stop because obviously it's going to make their numbers look better, make their artists look better.
Real thing.
So the label buys the streams from Spotify?
So here's the deal. When you talk to these people, because I've talked to these people, because I've been like, what is this? How are y'all doing this? They never disclose the mechanics of like how they actually fake the streams. There's like, you know, rumors of like streaming farms or we're delving out fucking computers in third world countries and hacking the back end to make it look like it's an IP from the US. Yeah. Whatever. Like,
all right. So with that, here's my thoughts, because a lot of people think that it's just streaming farms or so on and so forth, which it's probably a streaming farm. But how do we know that the record labels don't just have their own streaming farms? Because that's what I would think that would actually be, because that makes it easier for you not to get caught. You know what I'm saying? So how do we know that these record labels aren't the ones with their own streaming farms and they're just basically using VPNs and they're the ones that are streaming all this stuff?
The reality is the labels are spending money and, you know, devil's advocate, they're treating it like a marketing expense. Because in a sense, it like almost is.
You're gonna spend $100 grand on billboards. You're gonna spend $100 grand on streams.
Right.
The streams is gonna put you in a playlist.
You're gonna spend real money to get fake streams that equate to real money. So that's why they think it makes sense, because it's like, okay, the streams are fake, but the money's real. So what do we care? Especially they're not doing it with like up and coming artists who like you wouldn't believe it. You know, they're doing it with people like where it's okay. If let's say your song has 500 million streams, right? Organically. But let's say with fake streams, now you're at 900 million. No one's gonna sit there and be like, this is more like a 500 million stream song.
Yeah.
You'll see, he's got a valid point there. So like he's saying, they're treating it like marketing, which I would absolutely believe. And it makes me furthermore believe that they're the ones with their own streaming farms. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how they're going to basically roll out their artists. And so if you guys have followed what I've been talking about on Spotify, a lot of these companies like UMG and Sony and all of them, they have money invested in Spotify and a lot of other companies that have money invested in Spotify. So if they're the ones with the streaming farm, then it doesn't cost them any money at all in order to, you know what I'm saying, use that streaming farm because it's wherever it is that they have it at. So basically they have these streaming farms, which yeah, they have to pay for the warehouse and all that other stuff, but they're going to definitely make that money back because they're streaming all the artists on their label. And so all that money is going right back to them. So it's like they're not losing any money to make their artists look great.
Yeah.
They're just gonna be like, this is a big song, makes sense, it has
That's
900
fire.
million.
That's honestly so smart.
Yeah, they're not doing it to the dude across the street and giving him 1 billion streams. They're doing it to people who really can get $500 million. But let's just pump it to get 900.
Now you're getting number one.
Now you get
so
number
you
one.
could pay for a number one.
Oh yeah. What?
What
For
does
sure.
the number one cost? I mean, that's crazy to even think about that.
I mean,
What does
I
a
think-
number one song in America cost?
Look, the reality is this: you do have to have a real fan base to a certain extent,
Right.
Right. You have to have people who are really consuming the music, and your song has to actually be moving around organically.
But see, I don't know if I necessarily believe that, because we know that there's been time and time again where an artist has been number one or number two or whatever, been in the top 20 on the billboards, and then they go to show up to these shows and nobody's at the show. You know what I'm saying? It'd be like 10, 15, 20, 30 people at the show. And we've seen it. We've seen time and time again footage of this where the artist just doesn't have any fans at all, but yet they have millions and millions and millions of streams, 100, 200 million streams online, and the numbers just don't add up. If you have 100 million streams online, no matter where you go, you should be able to sell out that city.
Once it's that, then they'll push the button on it. And it just depends, like it's a campaign. It could be like, it's like a 12-week campaign and it might be 60 grand, 70 grand, whatever it is.
That's it.
And it's, oh yeah.
To have the number one song
And
on
that
Spotify.
70 grand, the ROI is crazy because that 70 grand might bring you back 200, 300.
Yeah, and even
Okay, so then think about this. So he's saying it would cost $60,000 for a record label to get enough streams to make a song number one, which again, the return on that investment is going to be 200, 300,000 or something like that. Now, I want you guys to think for a second. If it's going to cost them $60,000 in order to buy just one song, why would they not have their own stream farm? Because it's not going to cost them $60,000 a month in order to have a building open where it's just a warehouse full of phones that they just have going. And it's not going to cost them $60,000 for the power, for the internet, and for the building. So they probably, if they're smart, because we know these people are all about their money. We know record label executives are all about their money. That's what they focus on. They focus on how they can get more money. And I'm telling you, I just have this feeling that they have their own stream farms.
And just seeing the song number one, you're more likely to check it out. Now, how so?
Right, because people are sheep. And it's just.
Yeah, if you see
and it's
something
also,
successful.
Labels are like, all CEOs at labels are obsessed with market share. Like, who has the market share? Sony has 25%.
Market share means the amount of streamed
Yeah, like who's
songs
right.
at that moment.
Right, and
Of all
who
total
who-
streams, how many percent's
Yeah,
yours?
Yeah, right. And there's like bonuses that are associated with
Oh,
who's
because
in
that's
first
their
place.
incentive structure.
Right.
If you're number one,
Right.
you're going to get the trickle down. So they're going to try to boost.
Right.
Now, maybe you can't quantify it, but you said you can't do it with any song. You could take it from number 10 to number one, or you got to be like 3 and then
No,
I
I
can do
mean,
number
look,
one.
Spotify even just put out this statement that said anything over, what was it, 80% and 90%?
Yeah.
Anything over 90,
They're going to call out.
if
So
we-
you could be 89%
Right.
fake streams.
But that's
We're
what
not gonna
that's
say
saying.
shit, but
It's-
over. Yeah.
It's like, that was Spotify's way of saying, we know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
We're okay.
Okay, so as we're talking about this, it's jacked up because you hear what they said, and I've talked about this as well, and I talked about this in the video that I made about Spotify, the real reason why they're putting that the new monetization rules into place. So they're basically saying that you can bot up to 90% of your views and still get paid for them, but if it's over 90%, then you're not going to get paid for it. Obviously, the reason for that again is because these record labels have their own stream farms. And so, like, if we look right here, as we look Spotify, this is in Spotify now, track monetization eligibility. So they tell us in November 2023, we announced new policies we're set to introduce to help protect and strengthen our music royalty ecosystem. Basically, they tell us you need a threshold of at least 1,000 streams in the previous 12 months to be included in the recorded music royalty pool calculation. Now, why is that extra jacked up? Obviously we've been saying it's not fair that they're not going to pay artists with under 1,000 streams. but they're going to pay artists who are having fake streams, and they want to call these artists with the fake streams real artists. Because remember, that's what they said. They wanted to get a pool of more money so they can make sure that they give real artists more money, or the money that they deserve for their streams. But do they really deserve that money for these streams if 90% of their streams are botted? And that's what's super frustrating. And so then they also have this right here where they're talking about artificial streaming, paid third-party services that guaranteed streams. So it says paid third-party services that guarantee streams aren't legitimate, right? So now it makes me think too, so if the record label owns the stream farm, it's not a third-party service anymore, because this is only talking about third-party services. It's not just talking about bots or streams. You got to pay attention to the way that they word this stuff. So basically, they're telling us third-party promotional services that advertise streams in return for payment violate their terms and conditions, and using this could result in your music being removed from Spotify. Basically, they also said that they're going to fine the major record labels if they find out that they're botting more than 90%. Now, here's something I want you guys to think about. So they're saying that they're potentially going to fine and take down any music that's got over 90% streams. But I need you guys to think about something for just 1 second. They can't take down the streams if the record label don't want them to, because the record label are the shareholders, right? So it's like if they make the record labels mad, the record labels can just take their music off Spotify. So if Universal Music Group, Sony, and Warner all took their music off of Spotify, Spotify would fold. So ultimately, Spotify can't tell them we're not going to allow you to do this because A, they have stock in the company, and B, if they make the record labels mad, they can just take all their music off the platform and then Spotify goes away. So that's something else that we have to think about too.
Okay with
We're
it.
profiting off it.
It just can't, of course, because somebody doing 1 billion streams on your platform is a good look for your platform.
Yes.
Because you're bragging about the amount of streams on your platform.
Think about where Apple Music loses to Spotify. 1, they don't show the streams. 2, when it came out like last year that there was only 1 song that has 1 billion streams on there, like it just doesn't look as sexy as Spotify.
And I feel like as a consumer, nobody's listening to Apple Music. Spotify must be better.
Yep.
I don't know shit. Right. I'm just gonna go with the bigger one.
So the fake streams help the artist and the platform.
And the label. So like everyone wins. That's why no one's gonna say anything.
Think about it. If you're invested in Spotify, if your money is in Spotify shares, you want to know that it's getting the most streams and it's beating Apple by X
and
amount.
the labels are invested. I remember when I was.
That's the craziest shit.
I remember when I was with Columbia, and Columbia. There was a point in time where like they sold their shares of Spotify, whatever the fuck. But everyone on the label, just depending on how many streams you were doing, you got to check. I got a crazy check from Columbia selling their shares of Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, why did you get the crazy check?
Because I was doing a lot of streams on Spotify.
So one thing I want you guys to realize is that this isn't something that's new, and it's not just because of streaming. This has been going on forever. So if we look here, I mean, there's stories and stories. You can Google this. You can find whatever you want. But I just basically pulled up this story because it was an older story. I just wanted to find something that was a little bit older so that you could see this is something that is consistent throughout the history of time. Tommy Boy's Tom Silverman explains how labels buy back their own product. So Tom Silverman is the founder of Tommy Boy. So if you're not familiar with Tommy Boy has had artists like Queen Latifah, African Bambaataa, House of Pain, De La Soul, Coolio, Digital Underground, Naughty by Nature, just a whole bunch of stuff. And then other different genres like EDM and so on and so forth. So it says right here, if we buy 50,000 songs, it would cost $15,000. For $15,000 in a week, they can buy 50,000 more song downloads, which will drive up the record 3 or 4 positions in the chart. And that hype would make people believe it. You know what I'm saying? So he's basically told us here what happened. And then if we talk about, examples of this happening, French Montana got busted. I know y'all didn't forget about that already. French Montana gets busted for fake Spotify streams, denies any involvement. So if you guys remember, French Montana has now confirmed that a recent song of his has been rising on the charts because of fake Spotify streams, but he denies any involvement in the scam. So it's like, bro, who else is gonna buy fake streams for you other than you or your label? You know what I'm saying? Like, ain't nobody gonna invest $1 million in freaking French Montana in order for him to get, you know what I'm saying, a top spot in the charts. And the crazy thing about him and the way his went was that he had dropped a song that he thought was gonna blow up. The song flopped, and maybe like 3 or 4 or 5 weeks after the song had been out, all of a sudden it was doing opening day numbers. And so it just, again, that just lets you know that all of these labels are buying fake streams. Yo, when I was in Omaha forever, a bunch of people I know in Omaha always talk smack. And they're always like, oh, all you artists here are buying streams, because there was a bunch of artists buying streams there to make their numbers look better. And I'm just like, don't tell them not to buy streams, because major record labels buy streams. And it was like arguing with the guy, like, no, that's not what happens. And I'm like, fam, I am telling you that major record labels buy streams. I got family members that are in the music industry deep into it, right? And they're like, yeah, they buying streams. So, you know, it's like, I've been knowing that they're buying CDs and streams. Joe Budden had a podcast episode that I looked for, but I couldn't find the clip, where he was talking about how all the record labels, they'll buy like a 200,000 records on opening day, so that an album can go platinum or an album can go gold on opening weekend. You know, when he talks about it, he's like, they're still in the warehouses in China, Jamaica, just everywhere. There's warehouses full of CDs. And then what a lot of record labels did as well is that they only pressed like 500,000 CDs. They bought half of them, they sold half of them, and then they resold the albums that they bought, made their money back, and then they counted those views too. And then, you know what I'm saying, they pressed more albums. So super scandalous.
You get your share of the stream money.
Right, right.
So this is crazy. Billy Corgan was on Rogan talking about this. Did you see that episode?
No.
Where he was like, and I don't know how factual this is, but this is what he said. He's like, the labels took equity pieces in the streaming platforms and then gave the streamers sweetheart deals on the artist music. So basically, we're gonna charge you less for the artist music, which means the artist gets less.
Right.
But we are personally gonna take equity positions in those companies.
Right.
So give me a little bit of Spotify. I'm gonna give you this artist music for little. But when your brand builds, because it needs us to build, I get that. But you know who doesn't get that?
The artist.
The artist.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
But it's like the artist.
You know what I'm saying? That is absolutely what I was just saying earlier, and it's absolutely insane. Like, Spotify is in bed with these record labels, so they're not going to punish the record labels. They're not going to do anything to the record labels, because ultimately the record labels, they need them in order for Spotify to survive. And then, just like I said earlier, the record executives are all about making money. So you see how they're making deals behind the artists' backs with Spotify and basically trying to make it seem like, oh, we're not getting enough money for these streams, when ultimately they have stock in the company. So they're making money on the back end from the advertisers and all that other stuff, and the equity from Spotify, where the artists aren't getting any of that. So yeah, it's cool. You know, we're only going to pay the artist, you know, 0.0000, you know, 0.0003 cents or 0.003 cents per stream. That's okay. We don't care about that, because we're going to get paid on the back end. That's why I'm saying the record executives are smart. They're all about their money.
Uses all of that for leverage to go get sponsorships, and it's all like fame driven.
Yeah.
It's all like, the streams might be fake, but me being perceived as a massive artist
Make money on the
is
road.
real.
Monetize.
So now I'm getting this, now I'm getting that, and I'm monetizing it with this brand or with this sponsorship, whatever it is. So it's like, it's all just a fucking finesse, and it's all a scam.
And there's some artists that are like, I'm just gonna live off of my deal, right?
Yeah.
They're like, I don't even care if I make enough money to pay back
Right.
the company or the label, whatever
Right.
it is. They're gonna give me my advance. That's what I make.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's so funny when artists are like, I haven't seen a check since I got signed. It's like, because you're not recouped.
Because you didn't make any money.
It's like, what are you so confused about?
Yeah.
It's like, you didn't.
Yo, that's funnier than it needed to be. You know what I'm saying? That is funnier than it needed to be. You're like, all right, you know what I'm saying? I ain't got no check for us because you ain't making no money. You ain't selling no albums. That's funny.
Didn't make the money back.
Is it possible the artists don't know?
Oh, yeah. I don't think any of the artists know that their streams are being faked.
Wow.
No, but that's, and here's the thing.
That's
right?
heartbreaking.
Yo, but here's the thing for me. I think that the artists have to know, because, you know, when you drop your new albums or your new songs, they drop the songs at midnight, because, you know, that's when the distributors upload it to all of the different sites, Spotify and all that other stuff. And I feel like there's no way that, I'm just gonna use Drake for instance. There's no way Drake drops a new song at midnight and when I wake up at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, it already has 20 million views. You know what I'm saying? Like it just, that to me, that's mind blowing. You know what I'm saying? Like in 5 hours, your CD got 20 million views. I just can't believe it's like that. But then when you go look at it on other platforms, you go look at these same artists, the same songs, like on YouTube, it'll only have like, 500,000 views, or you'll go look at it somewhere else and it'll only have like 400,000 views or 100,000 views. But on Spotify, it's got 20 million views. And I get that Spotify is the most popular streaming service, but I can't see 20 million people streaming music at, 12 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning,
Nah.
But here's the thing. That's why, first of all, I encourage every artist, audit your label. Make sure there's an audit clause. Like I'm auditing, who I was with. And there's a lot of money being found. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the reality is like you don't know. There's a lot of things that are just hidden in those statements, in the marketing expenses. And the reason why, like, if you're signed to a major label, right? It's so easy to just deny everything because there's a buffer. There's a label. The label's the middleman between the fake streams and you. So if it comes out, it's so easy to just deny everything because there's a buffer. There's a label. The label's the middleman between the fake streams and you. So if it comes out that so-and-so is faking their streams, you can just play dumb. Be like, I had no idea.
The label must have did it.
Yeah, I didn't know what the label was spending their money on.
Right.
And when I have a hit song that has 1 billion streams, I'm not gonna go, are we sure it's a
Look,
billion?
and this is not me like speculating, right? This is me talking to like top 5 most streamed artists in the world and them talking to CEOs and CEOs admitting.
Oof.
And me on the phone with like managers of massive artists and on the phone with the dude who fakes the stream and them saying like, what's going on?
Wow.
Dude, you know what I just
So this is not, it's not like I'm not sitting here
It's not
like,
conspiratorial. This is how it
like,
went.
I really think people are fake.
Yeah.
And like,
I mean, you know what I'm saying? He's telling you guys the truth. He's dropping all the dirt. So I'm gonna leave this rest of this video link below in the description for you guys to check it out. Definitely some gems, some jewels dropped in here. Make sure you come over here and check out this Spotify video if you haven't checked this out. I'm gonna play a piece of this because this goes with what we're talking about in this video. So I made this video a few months ago, the real reason Spotify is demonetizing artists. And I just talked about some of the things that Russ is talking about now, basically with who owns what with Spotify and all these other companies. As we look here, Bailey Gifford and Company owns 22 million shares of Spotify. That's representing 11.5 total shares outstanding. Why is that important, you may ask? Well, if we look here at the things that Bailey Gifford owns, they own almost everything. I mean, a lot of these companies own parts of everything that you can think of. So these are all the, so see here too, I don't think I mentioned T. Rowe Price, but look right here at T. Rowe Price. It's just one of the companies. Maybe I do mention, I don't know, later on. Things that they own. And as we look here, what's important is they own a piece of Tencent Music Entertainment, and they also own a part of T. Rowe Price. You'll see why both of these are very important here in a moment. But as we look, this company owns so much, right? And so basically, this is what I mean by the rich getting richer. Now, stick with me for a second because this is all gonna just make sense. So now as we come back here, we look at what is the next company that owns the most in Spotify. I'm not going to play it all the way this far, but you see T. Rowe Price down here is another owner of, or has shares in Spotify. So all these companies are working together, and you see Bailey Gifford, Tencent. You know what I'm saying? Spotify. And it's Morgan Stanley. Morgan Stanley owns 17.3 million shares of Spotify, representing 9% of total shares outstanding. All right, so now you may be asking, why is that important? So then as we see here, Morgan Stanley buys 2.34 million shares of Warner Music Group, worth $105 million. So now, so Morgan Stanley is invested in some of these other companies here. They're invested in Spotify, they're invested in Warner Music. So they're invested in all of these companies. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, so they're not going to penalize any of these major record labels because the investors, Morgan Stanley, who is invested in Spotify and invested in Warner Music Group, If you punish Warner Music Group, then you're punishing Morgan Stanley, and then you're punishing, Tencent, and then you're punishing this other company. You're punishing Bailey Gafford, if that makes sense. So you're punishing your shareholders who own stock in all these other companies. So they're not going to fine them. They're not going to tax them. And that's why they are going to allow them to bot up to 90% of their streams. Oh, Morgan Stanley, who also owns a piece of Spotify, has all this equity in Warner Music Group, which means they have a lot of music on the platform. So that means that every time a song plays that's in their catalog, they're not just going to get paid from advertising dollars, they're also going to get paid for the streams. So then as we look here, Morgan Stanley is investing more than $700 million to buy music copyrights in partnership with Cobalt. So that means they're buying even more music so that they can get paid even more money on streams. And as we scroll down here and look, they have artists such as Roddy Ricch, Max Martin, Phineas, Karol G, Stevie Nicks, Paul McCartney, Foo Fighters, all these different groups who are going to stream. It just for them, it makes more sense for them to take. So again, I'm going to leave this video linked down below too as well in case you wanted to check it out, in case you didn't get to see it. But ultimately, I just want to make you guys aware of what is going on in case you don't know. Don't feel bad if you aren't getting the streams that you want, because major artists aren't getting the streams that they want either. I mean, I guess they're getting them through bots. I know it's not funny, but it is. But they're not getting the streams that you think that they're getting either, a lot of people. So what's the solution to this? I don't have the answer. I don't have the fix. But more people need to talk about it, because it's not like this is something that's illegal, unfortunately. Like, you would think, would you consider this fraud? But it's not really fraud when ultimately the company is allowing you, in their rules, they're saying that you can bot up to 90% of streams. So anybody could bot up to 90% of their streams. Now, for somebody who doesn't really, is a smaller musician like myself, or maybe you watching this, well, yeah, botting isn't really worth it for you, because it's like, if you're going to bot, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's say you're only getting 1,000 streams, but you want to add to that. Well, the return on investment isn't there for you, or you're going to basically pay and not make back the money to get your streams up, So for the regular artists, that's no good. We're not out there getting advertisers. We're not out there getting sponsors. We're not getting all that other stuff, which makes it worth it to bot, where for them, they probably own the stream farms, like I said earlier. And if they don't, and they are paying for them, they're still going to get a return on that investment by tours, by getting to set up more tours, putting their acts with other acts, maybe getting movies, maybe getting in commercials, getting in all these other places. They're going to make money. Unfortunately, us small folks don't get that. So that's what I got for you guys today. Make sure, if you guys do like this content, though, you drop a whole elbow on that like button, hit subscribe and that notification bell, so every time we bring you guys a new video, you can be the first to see. Appreciate you guys' time as always, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Some, hit the keys.